So
You're just going straight through. Would it be
we're just going to
edited
go straight in. We're just going to go straight in. So just
all the way through?
Just relax. Yeah, we'll rock through it. And I've already started recording this. I've recorded it from the minute you said you were going to go off and get a cushion. So.
It's a job interview, isn't it, Jim? I feel like
No. This is.
What are you anchoring at?
This is just.
In what situation do I find myself that I excel the most? What am I?
Would you say you're a team player?
Absolutely not.
Hello and welcome from my sun-dappled office. Thanks for watching. A few days ago I managed to catch up with Jamie Anderson, who spent the last 18 years working professionally in the entertainment industry. So I wanted to pick his brains and find out a few of his highlights, his lowlights, and don't forget to watch right till the very end, where he will be giving his top 3 tips for anybody who wants to make a living in the entertainment industry. Enjoy. All right, so are you ready?
Are you ready?
I'm always ready. Always.
That's the problem, isn't it? You never relax.
Yes. So thank you, Jamie, for agreeing to chat. So how are you?
I am having a lovely time. You know, it's February. The sun's out mostly for Wales, which is great. So here we are.
Yeah.
You rung. Why don't we do this? I thought.
It seemed like a good thing to do, doesn't it?
How random.
Whilst nobody's doing anything, let's look back and think about when we were doing stuff. So,
all right.
So actually, talking about that then. So pre-COVID. What was your work schedule like at the minute? What did you have on? What did you have to give up and stuff like that?
So 2020, I probably had about 130 odd show dates in the diary before anything Panto related. So it was shaping up really busy. I'd started a tour. So I was working 2019. I stopped touring and I went to work as a technician stage manager in my local theatre, which is the Riverfront Theatre in Newport, #Newport Live. And I was having a great time and was approached to go back on tour with a children's show, which I won't mention for brands, but so I was approached to go back on that. So I really not messed up. I made the right decision for me, but I left the theatre a week before any furlough would have helped me. So I started this tour. We did a week's rehearsal, then we did 2 or 3 venues, and then I subbed out the show to a DEP for a week while I went to Abu Dhabi and did the Abu Dhabi Science Festival for a different show. Came back, did a couple more shows. In fact, my next date I was due to see you was the next date was Harlow.
Yeah.
Harlow Playhouse #home, and then that was it. That was the venue that we got pulled on. I remember being in Scunthorpe at the Baths Hall doing the load-in for the show with the crew, and we're all with the venue crew and our crew, and we're all kind of like putting the set away going, I think this could be it. I think this could... it'd be fine. It'll be, and just being in that, so it was, like I was rammed last year. It would have been two touring shows, plus Panto, plus whatever, everyone's year starts quite quietly, and it's like a snowball. You start rolling downhill, and you just pick up more and more as you're going.
So you didn't end up getting furloughed? because of the decision you made, and you
Yeah,
fell into the big trap that a lot of people in our industry have fallen into, of being self-employed, not really fitting within any sort of criteria for support from the government and stuff like
no,
that.
well, so I was lucky in that, yes, I did. So the way that the wages worked at the theatre versus what I was getting self-employed. So there was a caveat of 50%. Over 50% of your income from the last 3 years had to come from your self-employed work for you to qualify for any government aid. And I think I whistled through at like 53% or something like that. So because I'd done a year and a half at the theatre, I had maintained my self-employed status the entire time, and
Yeah.
any available day I was working. I was always picking up little jobs. I was covering on the kids show. I was going off to, so there was always enough. And that work ethic, I suppose, that thing that always makes me say, I'll just say yes, gotta be all right, go do some work, be a laugh. It's 3 days away, it's 3 days away. That's it kind of flipped when I was working out on tour and the theatre would ring, oh, can you come in and do a few days? Like, oh, amazing, yes, 3 days at home. And then it kind of flipped, like, oh, amazing, 3 days away, like a different site. So I did sneak through. Obviously that means that the rate that I got back was minimal, so I had to go out and get another job.
So what did you do?
I'm a delivery driver. It's but it is what it is. It's it's absolutely fine. It's been proper graft. It has kept me working. It's kept my mind working. It's
probably
got
quite
me out.
physical, is it?
Yeah, it can be. No one likes to deliver flat pack furniture to a top floor flat, but it's yeah, it's rough. It's like, it's hard graft. It's hard graft, and but I'm grateful for it, because it's
Absolutely.
I know a lot of people that haven't had government help, haven't had access to any grants, and are part of the ever growing number of people that are unemployed. It's going to be scary out there. I'm skating by every month, but happy to skate through. That's fine. And especially, we're recording this now, 24th of February. Obviously, yesterday, 2 days ago, we had the Boris announcement.
Yeah.
That theatre's coming back. That's going to happen.
But not till, was it 21st of June is the date, isn't it?
21st of June is the, no holds barred. But the step 3 was that venues can open. So the caveat is 1,000 capacity, or 50% of the venue's capacity, whichever is greater, essentially. So that's good. That means we can.
Is that kind of, have you got like work possibly that is already like being in contact?
Yeah.
Ready for this.
Yeah,
So,
straight away there's like right, let's start planning for the potential of this being able to happen. Right. So that's exciting.
Yeah.
Because suddenly there's a light. Suddenly there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
There is a light. Now, talking about light, so we're right now we're just looking at the immediate future. But what I want to now have a look at is, instead of that light that we're looking at, that spark way back when, that give you your first bite of theatre and the excitement that led you down this route of a job as a professional person working in the arts. What was that? What was it that gave you your first sort of like enticement into theatre and performance? And
it's hard, isn't it? It's hard to put your finger on it, mate. Like, you've done it, you've been there, and it all changes. But the first show I did, I think, was a result of having a single parent, and it was essentially cheap babysitting. Was to put us, and it was, it was like, I was never sporty. I didn't like football. I didn't like rugby. I didn't really understand it. If it wasn't Ian Wright, I didn't know who they were. Mum worked at the theatre. It was easy to have us upstairs in like the theatre. So I think the first thing I did was Animal Farm. at the Playhouse, and I was I think I was understudy to Minimus the Poetic Pig.
Right.
Never got to say the words. In some sort of dodgy mask, and that I don't really remember a lot about it. I think I was 11 or 12 at the time,
Okay.
so it would have been 1996, 1997. And then I did Our Country's Good. But we toured that. That was one of the only shows that the Harlow Playhouse ever toured.
Who was that with? What company was that with?
Harlow Playhouse Young People's HPYPT or whatever. There was some sort of acronym for it.
Right.
HP used Harlow Playhouse Young People's Theatre. So we did that, and we did like 3 other venues. I can't remember. I can remember we did Thurrock, and I only remember that we did Thurrock because
Thameside.
yeah. But they used to, they put it out the front of the theatre like it was an old cinema thing, cool, tonight Our Country's Good. And I played Lieutenant Johnson in that, and it was about that time. That was probably 98, 99, and then 99 was probably the year, if I could pin the first thing I saw that made me go, I'm in this for the long haul. Long haul. It was I was working front of house on Panto. That was
Cinderella.
That was your Cinderella.
In 2000.
Yeah, that was you appearing out of the stage right, Vom, all looking all like, oh, look, I'm a prince.
The most nerve-wracking thing I ever did is to start a panto by singing. I mean,
yeah, that's all right. You got a jawline for it. You're all right. No, what was that song?
It's a Beautiful Noise. It was a rewrite of Neil Diamond.
Yeah, it was brilliant.
Yeah,
it was brilliant. But that was so I remember being outside the stage right entrance, the bar side, and
did you sing your chorus on that?
No, that was I was still front of house. I was probably tearing tickets or ushering or working merch or something, because I'd have been 15, so I'd have been like YTS at the time. It was just like I was in the building, and I was hang on, wasn't I? I was always a hang on. I was always hanging around the building. I wanted to see what was going on. I was and I remember that, and I remember the next 12 months were really stressful because I was waiting for the auditions, and I knew I was going to be 16 by the time that the show went up, and that was always the caveat. You're going to be 16 on the first day of the show. And now that I'm a CSM, I understand the licensing behind that. But and I remember doing the audition, and I remember like tugging on Phil, essentially being like, "Come on, am I in it or what?" And getting that senior chorus, and then doing that show, was this is all right, isn't it? This is good crack. And so that was 2000, 2001, which makes this year 20 years of pantomime.
20 years of pantomime. So you started off at Harlow Playhouse, which was a community panto, but according to the stage and according to some people, it was the largest community panto in the world because of the size of people that were in it.
You got that ingrained in your memory, that, haven't you?
Oh yeah. And
proud of that. As well we should be.
Yeah. So started rehearsals in late September, ran all the way through to like the end of the first or second week in January.
Yeah, usually it was like 13th, 14th. It was that.
Yeah, it was quite a long run. So, doing panto at 16 with that whole immersion in theatre and the show and the musical numbers and everything about it. I can pretty much see why you might have got the bug.
But it was big, like it was massive. There was always, and there's something I still can't put my finger on about doing that panto. No matter, I'm 20 pantos in now, even with a year off last year, because there was 1 year I did 2. It's like legendary. But I still can't put my finger on what made that one so special. And it, and actually, like, I've done loads now, and even looking back, to say that was a community panto that produced their own scenery year, every cloth was painted, All the set was built. Very little was hired. All those songs were put together and rewritten. Professional MD. Like, I don't think at the time there was any way, without having done X amount of pro pantos and X amount of this and that, I don't think there's any way you can really take in the amount of work that went into producing a community panto and making it that good.
Yeah. Well, that kind of leads us quite nicely into your very first professional panto.
Yes.
And the differences between experiencing what you had at Harlow and then, was it Newport?
No, Newbury. Newbury was the first one.
Newbury, sorry. I knew there was a new, so Newbury, and you're doing panto, and you've got Matthew Bainham was like one of the leads.
Yeah, Matt Bainton was he was Dick Whittington. Yeah, and then the guy that played King Rat was Philip something or other, and he was amazing.
So what was that like? What was the shift like in going from the amateur to the pro?
I mean, I was lucky in that I had the great and powerful Oz to
Andy Osborne, who had connections in Harlow but was working professionally with.
Yeah, so he kind of took me under his wing, and the way that was my first transition from performer to learning the technical side of it. He brought me in as an acting ASM, so you fill out the numbers, but you source the props, you look after the stage. It was like a massive eye opener, and it like there's again, it goes back to not knowing how good you had it at Harlow, because all of us, Harlow you do for free, and you spend Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday for months building up to it, and then you do 5 or 6 shows a week for free. Then you do 2 shows a day from Boxing. Remember Hell Week we used to call it.
Hell Week, yeah.
But yeah, Boxing Day to New Year's Day, 2 a day, and then you carry on into January, and you're not doing anything, you're not getting anything for it. You're getting a pat on the back and
and a good party at the end.
Party at the end, yeah. Good party at the end. And all of a sudden, you're in a smaller venue, you're getting paid, but cloths ain't coming in. They're on a swipe track, and all of a sudden, the stage wasn't painted, and props were coming out of a box and going back into a box, and it wasn't generic. It wasn't, it was great, but it was off the shelf. It was a product, as opposed to, so you got a kind of, it took me a year to adjust to that way of doing it. And of course, Harlow, 3 months to get it right. With Pro Panto, you've got two weeks, and suddenly you're going from that, Tuesday, Thursday evening to you're there at 9, you leave at 9, and you smash it out, you get it done, you keep going. And obviously, professionals, at that time, all these people that had trained, had been to stage school, kind of got it ingrained in them. They get a script, they learn the lines, they know how to create a character, break a character down. It was amazing to sit there and watch. And it turns the director of that show was Cal McChrystal, who do a little Google of Cal McChrystal, but he's no small fry within the world of clowning, and
right.
He was in Spider-Man. He was one of the Spider-Man films. He does all the physicality, and just like amazing. That I had no idea at the time who he was, and actually now you see him popping up in all these bloody hell, like.
I'll probably do a little link then. So I'll find a Cal McChrystal video. I'll do a link to that.
Yeah.
And have a look at that.
Yeah, because I'm not 100% sure of everything he's done, but like you see him pop up all the time, and you go, that's pretty cool. All like from like Philip Gaulier School of Clowning, like, which is it's massive place to go in France and learn how to do it properly and incredibly. It's phenomenal.
Cool. So you do your first pro panto, and that's it. You start just doing pro pantos. Where was the next one after that? I think you travelled kind of a lot of West Country, Southwest area.
So I think the next one was Newport, and that was the same producer. And he run me up, and he said, Jamie, I've got nothing for you. You know, thanks for last year, but I've got nothing for you this year unless you can stilt walk and be the giant. I was like, oh, I've never even thought about that before. You know, like learning stilts is one thing, but then learning stilts and then being completely blind in a heavy suit, yeah, that sounds like carnage. I didn't, you know, Ian was amazing. So this is Ian Liston. Like, he's no longer with us now, but he's like hands down. You know, I owe X amount to Oz for getting me through the door, and for, you know, Liston always tried to find me something no matter what's going on. And he just said, look, I've just put £250 in your bank account. Go and buy a pair of stilts and figure it out.
Wow, that's amazing. And that led on to, I mean, how many times have you played the giant in Jack and the Beanstalk now?
Like 7, 8, 9, many times.
Yeah.
Many times.
Has the stilt walking come in handy outside of the Panto realm, or?
Yeah, for events and whatnot. I'd like, you know, stilt walking up Wembley Way, you know, at the start of NFL season. There's an events company that I work with called Ministry of Fun, who, you know, I do a lot of stilt walking for them, but, you know, not massive. You know, you do events and you do giant, and that's where that's been. But, you know, giants, that first year for Ian, it was a guy, he was just used to call him the egg. You know, his head was in front, he had a big old hunchback, didn't weigh a lot. It was kind of all right. I did that a few times, and then the giants got a little bit bigger, building up to the one that I did in Coventry, which, you know, weighed 2 humans sat on your back. I mean, it was immense weight.
So you obviously had to, you know, have a certain level of fitness for all of that.
I didn't going in. I came out pretty sturdy. You know, the feet on it was like walking in flippers. Like, that's the analogy. It's like walking in flippers into that first bit of ocean. You know, like suddenly life becomes really, really difficult.
Yeah.
And that's what the feet were like on it. But the feet were monsters. You know, and every single day in rehearsals, before I even put the suit on, every single day in rehearsals, I'd walk around in the feet for a couple of hours, because you just
to get used to it.
Yeah, I was, you know, they felt like they weighed 10 kilos each, and they're just picking up air. They were so wide, they were picking up air. Like, this is going to be graft. Cool. And it was. Cool.
So not just stilt walking then through Panto, but obviously you've also got puppeteering experience, because you would have had to have puppeteered the giant.
Yeah.
Puppeteering has also led you on other avenues where you've been to the other side of the universe, along far away.
Yeah, I went there for a brief spell.
So which episode did you get involved in?
So I did number 7 with the Force Awakens. Like, this wasn't really a reboot, was it? It was a sequel, but it was the start of the new.
I mean, we could get into a big debate over what it actually was.
I did that one, which was great, you know, but not really. I mean, that wasn't really puppeteer. That was, you know, that was more skin work. Like, I'd liken that more to wearing the giant, as opposed to the operation of the giant. That was right. You know, that was just.
So what sort of, when you say skin work, so you were in a suit, and if you moved, you just moved the suit, and that was sort of it?
Yeah, it was it was a humanoid character. It was, you know, 2 arms, 2 legs, and a big old stinky latex face that was stuck down to mine.
Nice. So what was that like as an experience of being on a set with all of that going on?
It was really hot. It was insanely hot. I remember that summer in itself was incredibly hot, let alone the chaos of wearing all of that. And like the costume was like a onesie, like, you know, it was just I I can't even name the material that it was made out of, but it didn't breathe particularly well. So obviously you had, you had your trousers on underneath, then you had this onesie over the top, your show t-shirt on essentially, your
Yeah.
washable. Then this thick latex mask, and his jaw shut out in front of mine like this, and I couldn't see because he has got this like a black mask with these red eyes, and the red eyes were by this little air gap. So the only air you had was circulating straight into these red eyes, and then just causing condensation. So
Oh,
you
nice.
couldn't see anything, couldn't see what was going on. The only time Mark Hamill ever came to set was when I was in that mask and said, "Oh, look over there." Couldn't see. That's what's going on. Oh, Mark Hamill's over there. I was like, amazing. I'm assuming that's a spoiler because no one knew he was in it until the very
Yeah.
last second. If
Yeah.
I'd have seen him, I'd have told everyone. But that was the, like you couldn't see in front of you. So what kind of wasn't stuck down here and here, and there were crew that would come over with like these Makita air blowers. They were like for like leaf blowers, and then they just stick this like short nozzle into the latex mask and just pump air around you for 30 seconds before they went and salvaged the life of the next person.
Yeah.
Like
Oof.
obviously water through a straw, but you couldn't see anything. Like it was like, I'm not sure. So there was the big bar kind of cantina set that we were on, and then just sort of around from that, part of the same studio was, I think in hindsight, having seen the film now, I think it's where Ray goes and where she discovers the lightsaber, where she hears all the voices, so that was it was on the same level and just around the corner. You can't, like, literally couldn't see anything. I kind of had this little kind of gap in the bottom of one of the lenses where I was like, I can't kind of see what I'm doing. I'm like, oh, there's Harrison Ford. Oh my God, that's amazing. Just I tripped over every lighting cable you could. Smack, bang, clang, wallop. Like, I looked like a complete prick. And subsequently was never called again for Star Wars. But like literally I was arse over tit on the floor, just this like twatty alien in a onesie with a latex mask on, sat on the floor. Like, brilliant. Sorry about that.
That's not been your only time on a film set though, because you have done.
Been the only credited time. It's the only credited time I've been on a film set. I'll argue that. And you could tell you were one up on that one because they let me keep my phone. On anything else that you've done, I've done extra work and they don't trust you as an extra. You're a leak. You're a problem. So they take everything from you. Like you're herded around like cattle. Well, we're gonna take your phone. No contact to the outside world. Ha ha ha. More for you. But with Star Wars, they just put a sticker on the lens.
Oh, fair. So you couldn't then take shots of anything.
Couldn't take photos of anything, but could go on Twitter and tell everyone. I didn't do that. I was doing my personal trainer course at the time, so I was just like this kind of alien sitting around learning about the mechanics of your body. What about, and that was I can't remember how far into, because that Maz's Castle, like I always say, like, I felt like I did it for months. And it probably wasn't months, but we did everything a few times because we did it with Harrison Ford, without Harrison Ford, green screen, with tests.
So how long were you actually?
I mean, I should try and add up. Like, it was probably 2 months, really, but not, obviously not every day. And it was just in and out like a yo-yo on it, which was great. But that was like I was sitting on the floor doing the study, and once these two hairy feet appear next to me. It was Eunice, who was Chewbacca, who took over from Peter Mayhew. And he just come on, oh, it looks very interesting. And that was it. That was my interaction with him.
Talking about, because you have done extra work. So what films have you been an extra in?
So the first one I did was The Golden Compass in like 2004 or 2005 or something, and was like one of the students at the preppy school. And I just did the big dinner scene on that. So that was amazing, because that's it's the first thing as an extra. We were filming at Cutty Sark, in Greenwich. So like, beautiful, sun was out. We're in this like real kind of like a judgy kind of costume, you're all prim and proper, and then Nicole Kidman walks in, and you're like, that's amazing. That there is Nicole Kidman. Brilliant. I'm getting paid for this. Got paid for that.
What was next then?
Then was the Bourne one, Supremacy Ultimatum, second one. I don't know. The Waterloo Station one, the one where it is in Waterloo, and that was quite good fun because I think I did a week on that and I didn't do a single minute's filming. It was.
What'd you do then?
We were there ready to do extra work. We were in this cafe just around the corner. Everything was free, food was free, drink was free. Have a lovely time. Yeah, we'll use you. Yeah, we'll use you. Oh, be great. Oh, we're amazing. Yeah, start thinking about this. Start thinking about that. Okay, that's a wrap on Waterloo. Thanks very much. Cheers, everyone. And I reckon there was 70 of us earning 120, 130 quid a day on that never got used.
So as an extra, you could make money without even having to do anything.
You make money there. Then they add money for, you're in uncomfortable conditions, or you've gone 30 seconds over your break.
You had to have a haircut, or
I did. That's the hair claim to fame. Way back when I grew my hair all silly. Remember that? I had nice long hair.
Yes.
Yes, that was the film I had to have it cut for. And I had it cut in Nicole Kidman's dressing room.
Wow.
Now we know where she got her extensions.
So I know there's also been another film that you were an extra in, the one that is near and dear to your heart. So
Really is.
There may be some people watching this who know Jamie and know that he's always had an affinity and a connection with a certain Caped Crusader. And I mean, what is it? Is it fan film or something? We've even we're in a little messing around project. We created a little sort of fan movie where Jamie
we were young,
dressed as Batman and ran around Harlow in the middle of the night because it was
in a wetsuit.
In a wetsuit. It was a
homemade in a wetsuit and a Smithy's mask.
Yes, but can I just say you are the proud owner of possibly the coolest cosplay batsuit that I've ever seen.
I do now have a screen accurate Dark Knight batsuit. Yeah.
Jamie and Batman are like that, and
I am basically Batman without being Batman.
Yeah, and you got the call. How to explain how that happened? And
so I was with this extras agency. I can't remember who they were now. And you build like little relationships, and they have a chat to you. The more jobs you do, like the more they kind of talk to you about, what's your favorite this, what's your favorite that. Oh, it'd be amazing. And I must have said to one of them, like, oh, massive Batman fan, like it's amazing. Have you seen the new one with the Joker? Brilliant. Oh, great. And then I was doing these tours of Holland as in like a rock and roll, hold tight, it's 60s night or 70s night, and there was a few of them. And anyway, I had like 3 days off, and we were staying just outside Amsterdam in a place called Scherpenzeel, and I got a phone call from the agency just saying there's a casting tomorrow, there's a fit in, if you can make it, they want to use you. And I was like, I'm in Holland. They were like, I can't really tell you. I was like, okay. Like, do I want to come back for it? They were like, you really want to come back for it? Like, you really want to make that journey? So I did. I flew home from Holland on my day off to go to. I got picked up but it was by my mum's other half at the time, who was a keen motorcyclist. And I think he picked me up from the airport, put me on the back of his motorbike, drove me to Elstree, where I had a costume fitting and was measured, and then drove me back to the airport, where I got back on a plane to Holland.
Did you know what you were doing it for yet by then?
Yeah, I'd kind of gathered, from them saying on the phone, like, you really want to do this. I'd said, is it the new Batman film? And they were like, well, I couldn't possibly confirm. Which was as good as saying, yeah, get on the plane. and this was one of those, this was still extra work. I didn't know how long it was going to be for. I think, I didn't even care if flying back from Holland had cost me more than I was going to make on it. I was like, I was going to do that. And it actually turned out all right. It turned out to be about 3.5, 4 weeks of filming at Cardington Air Hangar in Bedford.
So this was for Dark Knight Rises.
Dark Knight Rises, yeah. So this was like it was the same set. They did in 2 time periods. So there was the stuff with Bruce in there escaping, and then there was all the flashback stuff to when Tom Hardy was in there as Bane and the kid growing up, So I did all the flashback stuff, and that was amazing. Like, it was only extra work, and then anyone looking at you in the right way when you're doing that is like, this is amazing. This could be something. And I remember there's one of the first shots when they go back to it is of it was of a leper. It was described in the script as a leper, and they literally there was like 40, 50 of us there, and they pulled me and this one other guy, and they were like looking at us with an IMAX camera, like zooming in, zooming out, and I was like, man, this is going to be amazing. I'm about to get this amazing shot, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be great. And they were like, yeah, we'll use the other guy. I was like, brilliant, thanks for that. And then there's a bit from the film that isn't in the film, but essentially, you kind of got all these lads that have been in there for a long time, and I think it was Talia al Ghul's mother that they lower in, and the kind of insinuation is that something not great is about to happen to her. And that was there was me and this other guy, and they were like, right, the IMAX shot, so Christopher bloody Nolan pulled us to one side and was like, right, so the shot's going to start with you two, okay? So you're excited, but this is amazing. Something's being lowered in. You've got to treat it in this exact way. It was like, the shot's going to start on you. We're going to pan back, and you're going to jump over this rail, and you're going to start this. Everyone that follows is going to follow you. And that was like just the best. I think I fucked it up every time, but worth it. Worth it.
So both on Batman and Star Wars.
Yeah, I don't think I deal well under pressure, Jim. In The Giant, I nearly fell into the audience one night. I've never fallen. I've never come off of a stilt. But so there was one time that first Giant, he's like, he was walking like cowboy boots, and the foam. So that's your foot of the stilt, and the foam needs to sit above it, because obviously it's you're walking on some sort of sponge. Yeah. And I must have taken a step, and the boot got caught underneath. And as I came back down, and the hands were built on crutches, and I went hurtling towards row A. Would have been pandemonium. Little Ethel would not have known what hit her. Everyone else would have known. They'd have been watching. It would have been a Giant, but it would have been absolute carnage. And luckily I put the fist down on the edge of the pit and was like, whoa. It's just a pressure thing, I think. Like, first I had to jump. I'm not very athletic. Jump over a barrier. Never jumped over anything in my life. And then run. You've seen that underground set was all stairs and pyramids. It was, I never saw a risk assessment. And
there must have been one floating around that.
Must have been one. You were not
important enough to see that.
So yeah, that was a mega experience.
Wow,
mega experience. Fabulous. Catering was better on Star Wars, though.
What would you say? Would you say that was your professional highlight?
No,
What if you were to pull out one moment and go, now that was the moment? Apart from obviously marrying your wife.
Yeah, that was pretty special. That was pretty special.
So yeah, just to kind of give a bit of backstory, Jamie is effectively Gavin, Essex boy, married a Welsh girl, and is now living in Wales.
I do not drive a Citroen Saxo. No, so the highlight for me was, so when I did Star Wars, there was never any talk of a credit or anything. It just wasn't mentioned, and I never anticipated for a second that that I would get a credit. And the panto producer that I was talking about, Ian Liston, he played Wes Jansen in The Empire Strikes Back. So I think it was his X-wing that did the loop around the AT-AT walker's feet and tied them.
Oh
over,
wow!
you know?
Right, okay.
Pretty sure that was him. But he was Wes Jansen. He was in the two of them, I think, and he was a trooper as well. Like, you know, obviously, like, they just utilized people. And he was invited to Switzerland the night before the film was released, and there was some sort of screening that he did. And he rung me. We had a 10 a.m. show the following day, which was the day it came out here. We were all seeing it that night. And I came off stage and I had a phone call from him, basically just a gloat, just to say that he'd seen it, like, you know, like, ha ha ha. And then he said, "Oh, I saw your credit at the end," and it just broke me, like, because I had no anticipation that, you know, it's a cool thing anyway. To get a credit is phenomenal, and I never thought I'd get a credit on anything.
Typography.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got it framed. It's framed. It's there. I have. I've got me with so there's a cast photo up here. I'll send you these.
Yeah.
But up on the wall up here, there's a group shot with J.J. Abrams of the cast, and then I've got a shot of me just behind Harrison Ford just before the world got blown up, and then I've got the credit thing printed. But anyway, yeah, he run me just to say, you know, I've seen it, and you've got a credit, and I was not expecting it, and honestly, I couldn't get through the next show fast enough. I didn't even care about the film at that point. I didn't care. You know, I'll probably, maybe for all the hours and all the cost of getting to and from the studios, you know, like, just everything just disappeared in that. Like, mate, that's my name. That's my name in a Star Wars film. You know, conversely, it all changes. Like, you know, 1 minute you're in Star Wars, the next minute you're ushering a film at the cinema, you know, which is Star Wars, and you're picking up Coke cans as your name's coming up on the screen. Like, you know,
yeah,
life's all about balance, Jim.
Yeah. So talking about your like best moment, what would you say has been the toughest thing within your professional life, or or maybe a time where you kind of been a bit disappointed by stuff that's going on?
Like, the worst. Just one thing with this industry that I struggle with, and that is that it's an ego-driven industry. Like, I know, you know, here I'm like talking about myself a lot, and that's because you've asked me to. But like, I really struggle with how self-centered this industry can be, and how, you know, it's like quite ruthless, you know, at times. Like, you know, people will stand on other people to get a job, and that's you see that a little bit. You know, you do see that a little bit, and that's quite hard to negotiate into your life.
Yeah,
you know, it does suck a little bit, you know.
Okay. So bearing that in mind, then, if you were faced with somebody, perhaps yourself as an 18-year-old, half your life ago,
tell him to go to
saying, "I
university.
really want to get into this industry," if you had 3 top tips that you could say, right, these are the 3 things above anything I would strongly think about, what would those 3 be?
Right. Firstly, if you want to be a sound engineer, don't ever go and tell a sound engineer that you can do their job, or never go and tell a sound engineer that it sounds a bit tinny. They will murder you on the spot. So that is the pinnacle of advice that I can give you. Sounds a bit tinny, wants a bit quiet. They'll just kill you dead. So, you know, learn from that very quickly. Like, saying that, I'm going to kind of contradict myself there a little bit. If you want to be a performer, which is amazing, do it by all means, but go and learn what everyone else does, because I think that is the key from community theatre that you take with you into every scenario, and certainly I have. It is that little bit of understanding of when you arrive, who's been there for 8 hours already, what have
Yeah.
they been doing, what if the stage isn't ready for you to do push-ups on half hour before a show because you want to get yourself ready. Why is that? What have people been doing? What's been broken that they've fixed? How's the load-in gone for them? Like a massive bugbear of mine is when we turn up at a venue and the cast arrive in the morning and they don't even say hello. They go, "What's the Wi-Fi password?" Don't ever do that. That's a properly good bit of advice, that is.
Have respect for the
Just,
rest of the
yeah,
team.
just learn a bit. Learn a little bit about stage management. Learn a little bit about lighting. Learn how a light is focused. Learn how sound works. Learn how expensive that pack is, and why you shouldn't be falling on it or swinging it from a cake. No, learn all of these things. Like, just have that little bit of understanding that allows you to communicate with everyone else, because theatre only works if everyone does the same thing. Everyone's got to be aiming for the same goal, and sometimes relationships aren't easily formed all the time between stage management and cast or crew and lighting and sound. And but if you've got those little bits of nuggets which allows you to ask questions, it makes
Intelligent
release.
questions, not just stupid
just
questions.
but just being willing to open up a corridor of communication. It's like there's a lot to be said for it. There's a lot to be said for just having a little bit of nous about you, and being curious. Like, just, yeah, that's an amazing. Everyone looks at a DSM. The DSM just kind of sits next to the director all day and, like, marks out what I'm doing in a script and gives me a line when they're, but you're not looking at the back of their laptop that's got 42 half-read emails, 16 half-written schedules, and that's the stuff that they're trying to do in between you forgetting a line. Like, it's so much work that is going into it that you're not seeing.
Yeah.
So like 100% get a little bit of a grounding for everything that's going on around you. And then I think, like, as you're just starting out and work becomes available, just say yes as much as you can. With if you, no matter what the part, no matter how big, how small, whether it's acting ASM, touring around, helping out, like, just say yes. Just say yes and learn and get a feel for it, and you'll know very quickly what you're in for. Because
Yeah.
for 20 years of work, I've only really spent 3 months on a film set fannying about pretending I'm important. Like, a lot of it is is the real graft of making theatre work. And I've gone from community theatre to acting assistant stage manager to deputy stage manager, and I'm now at that point where I'm a company stage manager. And you slowly, over 20 years, I've worked myself into that position, and it's like, I think so much of it has come from just asking questions and being in the right place at the right time, but being curious enough that someone will teach you,
As
like,
opposed to pissing off a sound engineer and being
yeah,
rude.
just don't do it. Just don't ever piss off a sound engineer. It's not worth it. It's not.
Jamie, we could chat for much longer, but I'm aware of time and things like that. So I just want to say this has been so much fun. I've absolutely loved hearing little nuggets of things that I wasn't even aware of, as well. So it's been brilliant. So thank you very much for your time, and all the best for the future. Roll on when theatres can be reopened, and we
Hey,
can all
bring
start
back theatre.
ourselves again.
That'd be nice, wouldn't it? I really want to go to the cinema, Jim.
Yes, so do I. So do I. All right. Thank you,
Really
Jamie.
bad. No, thank you, Jim. I never even got to ask you any questions.
No, it's not about me. It's not about me.
You've changed.